Hello, my name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to the list of my reading rules. Because yes, I have those. Now, these are not hard and fast strictures that I always stick to make my reading not fun for some reason. These are more like guidelines that I follow because I've learned things about myself and about the way I read that kind of help me pick books or pick the right time to read books to read the most. Now, obviously, these are rules for me. I am in no way saying that these should be rules for anyone else. I am not saying that you should put these rules in your own reading, although I am interested if you do have any kind of rules or any kind of guidance system for your reading. I would love to know about it. But I just wanted to be very clear. This is not me saying that you have to do these. Okay? These are for me, based on personal experience or a personal code of ethics. Okay? Okay, let's jump in. The first one is one you might have heard before from me if you've been watching my reviews, and that is I do not continue a series unless the first book in that series was a minimum of 4 stars. For the very simple fact of there are a lot of series and a lot of books, and I don't have time to read ones that I'm just meh about when there are a ton of books that I'm really excited for that have like 10 books in this series. I have to prioritize. Now, this rule does allow for if a future book in the series is a 3-star. So for example, first book, 5-star, great, loved it. Maybe the second book was a 4-star. If that third one's a 3-star, I'm gonna give it another chance. Now, I only give so many chances, and if further on in the series, 3 stars start repeating, the series is gonna get DNF'd. No shade, nothing wrong with it. It's just I gotta prioritize what I'm really, really invested in. Otherwise, I'm taking up too much of my reading time just to say I finished another series. The next one is one I might actually be changing soon, and that is I do not get a romance unless it is a minimum of 200 pages long. Meaning that, yes, I will look at the page count on the Goodreads, Amazon, wherever to see how long it is, and if that number is less than 200, I do not buy. Now, yes, this means I am often not buying novellas, and it's very difficult when one of my favorite genres is monster romance, which is so novella heavy. But I have learned about myself is that I need a slow burn. I need the buildup. The number of times I bought an ebook off of wherever that was less than 200 pages and I thought to myself, that felt too quick and unsatisfying, LOL. It's happened so often that I just know now that if it's under 200 pages, I'm probably not going to enjoy it. And on top of that, this might be changing to 250 because I am getting repeatedly burned by the page count saying that it is above 200, but then the last like 20 to 30 pages is an excerpt for the next book. I don't care about excerpts for the next book. That's not a rule. I don't have like a rule that I don't read them. I just don't care. I have already decided by the time I read the first book in the series whether or not I'm going to continue. Again, see previous rule. So I never care about them. And as a result, it means that I could have gotten a book thinking it was 200 pages, but actually it's 175. And it gets aggravating. So I might actually be changing this rule to 250. And again, no shade if you are someone that prefers or even likes shorter romances in general. Go with the gods. For me, I need the angst and the pining and the long drawn out nature of a slow burn. This next one is probably the closest thing on this list to a hot take. So let me just reiterate that again, these rules are for me. I am not canceling. I am not saying anyone can or cannot write things. I'm saying for me, this is a rule I follow. And that is, I am very, very hesitant and reluctant to buy queer MLM books written by cis-het women authors. Now, yes, it is very possible that those authors are in the closet or finding something out about themselves, and I cheer them on their journey. However, there is a very high chance that those books will be fetishization torture porn for people who don't see queer men's pain as importantly as women's pain. And we know this because people have flat out said this. It was a whole discourse at one point on Twitter with authors basically admitting that they would have queer male characters going through horrible things because to them it wasn't as bad as if a straight woman was going through those things. That's awful. That's terrible. And the problem is that it's not like anyone advertises that, so I have to come up with guidelines to lessen the chances that the book I'm gonna buy has that. So as a result, I tend to avoid books by cishet female authors writing the MLM perspective, unless there's a couple things. One, they are writing a book with a trans protagonist in it, because that usually will lessen the chances of fetishization. Two, they themselves have written other books from the queer community, non-binary characters or sapphic characters, something that shows that they understand that the queer community is more than just cis gay dudes that they can lust over. Again, I am not canceling anyone. I am not saying that people shouldn't write X, Y, or Z. I am saying I've been burned before by fetishization, by, oh, it's not as bad if it's to a queer dude, torture porn. I'm not here for it. So I put rules in place to try and lessen the chance that I'm going to stumble across it. Okay, this next rule feels like it should be common sense, but stick with me. That is that you always read the first book in a series first. Now, I know what you're saying, Margaret. Why would anyone not read the first book in a series first? But you see, the thing is that when it comes to one of those romance series where each couple falls in love in a different book, but there's a through line throughout the books, authors have this thing where they love to tell you, oh, this book can be read as a standalone. And I'm telling you, no. I think they think that. I'm not saying that they're like outright lying, but I've noticed is that authors can't unknow that previous books in the series exist. They're always going to reference them, or they'll want to bring back those characters for cameos for people who have been reading since the beginning. And if you start midway through a series, even if each book is a different romantic couple coming together, you're always going to feel the lack. You're always going to feel that there was a book before this one that you did not read. And for me, if I can feel the lack of a book I didn't read, then no, that book cannot be read first. You need to start from the beginning. And I have like literally said this in reviews before where I'll be like, the author says that you can read this book as a standalone. No, read the first one first. It's a big thing for me. You just, generally speaking, you're always going to get a better experience reading a series, even one that is slightly less of a through line, if you start from book one. This next one is pretty simple. I don't read books that have AI generated covers, and I don't listen to audiobooks that have AI generated narrators. Not a fan of it. Don't like the concept of stealing art from artists so that you don't have to pay them. No, using an AI generator is not a person making art. It is essentially commissioning an artist without paying that artist money. Okay, I get it. Making a good cover is really hard and really expensive, and I will give a lot of grace to poor photoshopping for that exact purpose. But also, I can't imagine that listening to an AI narrator is going to be that good of a time, because like, isn't a robotic voice kind of grating to listen to? Like, the point of an audiobook is how much the narrator can lend life to the story. So why are you taking away the life aspect by making it a non-living thing reading you the book? It makes no sense. I'm not here for it. I don't accept them for reviews, and I'm not going to read them outside of reviews either. This one is a weird one. It is very specific to my very specific lifestyle. And that is, I do not let myself read ebooks at home for the express purpose of I read ebooks mostly through my phone, sometimes through a tablet when I'm home, but for the most part, most of that reading gets done through a phone. And because of that, there are a lot of places in which my phone is the only place I can read something unless I am like legit carrying a book around with me. So for example, I'm out and about and I happen to get caught in a line somewhere waiting for some particular reason, or I'm at work on my lunch break, I can just pull up my phone and start reading. Because of that, I tend to read ebooks at a much greater rate than physical books. So as a result, as it currently stands, I have a ton of unread physical books and not a lot of unread ebooks. So to kind of force myself to catch up with my physical books, I cannot read them at home. So after I get home from work on the weekends, it needs to be either review copies, like PDFs that I can only read on my tablet, or physical books. Otherwise, I would be reading nothing but ebooks and entire portions of my library would go unread. Maybe that'll change. In fact, that will definitely change come summer when I am off work and home a lot more often. But for right now, I gotta even things up for that TBR challenge. And that is it. My list of rules. It's not very long, and I have broken them before, but I am interested to know, what are your personal reading rules? Do you have any ones that are similar to mine? What are the exceptions to your rules? I would love to know. Please let me know down in the comments below. And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.